Hey guys, what is going on? It's Chris with Chris Country back with you. Hope you guys are having a great day, night, week, weekend, whatever time it is, wherever it happens to be. Just gonna do a video today on why I bought this truck that I'm in. Obviously, it's a 2006 Dodge Ram 3500 with the 5.9 common rail Cummins in it, 6-speed manual. Truck has about 363,000 miles on it. Certainly doesn't act like it though. Um, for those of you that have been following me either via social media or if you've watched the tour video of this particular truck, earlier this year, it's beginning of May, it's actually the 1st of June 2018 when I'm recording this. Back in February, I got into a wreck with Spot, my 02 F250 with the 7.3. The wreck wound up, the damages from the wreck, that truck was actually totaled out, and I wound up in the market for a replacement vehicle. And I was considering a lot of different options. At the time of the wreck, to be honest, I was kind of getting wore out with the 7.3s. I had two of them at that point. That truck was my second 7.3. And I was just kind of getting burned out with the cold start problems. Both of the 7.3s I had wound up having cold start problems. Um, the first I had a 2000 F450 and went through and replaced the glow plugs in that truck. Still had issues with it. I think had I held on to that truck a little longer, I was halfway considering replacing the relay, although I thought the relay in that truck was good. But I'm kind of looking back at it now, given the symptoms it had, I kind of wondered if I was having a fuel delivery issue, but I no longer have that truck, so I don't know. And the O2 F250 I had, it was a little better with the cold starts, but the problem with that one was it was hit and miss on that truck. I'd say about 85% of the time it would start, but there'd just be those few occasions where it just didn't want to start. And I was starting to try and troubleshoot that one, and just before I really could get too much further into it, I wound up getting into a wreck. So when I got into the wreck and found out the truck was being totaled out, like I said, I was kind of burned out with the 7.3s. I was still considering a couple of them as replacements. I was looking at, I think, two different ones. I was looking at a couple of Fords with the 6 liters in them. Was kind of considering an 03, and I also found an 06 I was halfway looking at. Um, I was also looking at some cheap JK Wranglers. Those were the 4-door ones. The ones I liked had the manual transmission. So I was looking at those. I was looking at a couple of newer Ford F250s with the V10 in them. And so it was just kind of a cavalcade. I mean, heck, I was even looking at a Nissan Juke of all things. And for those of you that know me pretty well, I think that'd probably be the last car that you would expect to see me in. But I was starting to consider it. But this truck actually showed up very late in my search. I was bored. I got home from work one night and I decided to tinker around on cars.com and see what they had. And because I was starting to research Cummins. I mean, I looked at a 12 valve actually, I think it was a 97 12 valve. That one was an automatic though. Still really liked it, but he wound up selling it before I could get the funds to even buy it. So I mean, I was starting to look at Cummins later on in my search, and I don't know why I didn't really look early in my search. I don't know if I just wasn't thinking about it or whatnot. I think the reason was it was just I had an '05 1500, a gasser, and it had what Dodge considered the crew cab, which was the quad cab, and I hated the back seat in it. William, my son's car seat would barely fit in the back of it. I mean, yeah, you can get a car seat in the back of those things, but man, there's just not a whole lot of room. So I think that's why I was kind of getting away from Dodge, and as a result, Cummins. I just didn't like their cabs. But then I started looking up more Cummins to see if maybe I could afford possibly a newer one, and then I started finding a couple of mega cabs. I looked at like an 06, same year as this one, but it was an automatic. The owner was wanting a lot more money though. And then I just stumbled across this one. It was way down in Alamosa, about 140 miles from home, 160. A good solid 3-hour drive, I'll give it that. But found it online at the dealership, Town and Country down in Alamosa, and was talking back and forth to the sales managers, and I guess they had this truck for quite a while. I think he said it was sitting on the lot, and I could just tell that they were, I mean, they were nice guys, don't get me wrong, but it's just, I'm well aware they're a dealership. Their main goal at the end of the day is to move their inventory, and this thing had been sitting there for a while. And the problem was, it's just, this is an '06, and with the mileage that it had, even though it's a Cummins, they just weren't, there weren't really too many of their banks that were willing to finance it. In fact, I think they said none of their banks were willing to finance it, especially for what they had it priced at. I kind of gave them a rough idea of what my budget was, and they said they could make it work, so I wound up taking the drive down and looking at it. And I'll be honest, I mean, I've always liked the Cummins, and the main thing that sold this one to me was the fact that it's a mega cab. I've always liked the Cummins, but it was still a hard sell. I spent a few hours with this truck before I really made the final decision on it. I can't say I regret getting the truck. I kind of wish I was more, I kind of wish I had like my diagnosis of what was going on with it more dialed in when I made the purchase on it, because I wound up replacing the injectors and the ECM in this truck, and I was starting to wonder if maybe it was needing injectors. It's just I didn't really have the tools or an available mechanic to kind of help me diagnose the injectors. So I bought it thinking maybe it was going to need injectors, maybe I could get away with a valve adjustment. The main thing that was telling me it needed injectors was the fact that it would smoke under load. I mean, you get above 75% throttle and that thing would start sending out kind of like brownish gray smoke out the back. So, but I went ahead and bought it, and don't worry, I did get injectors replaced, I think within the first week that I had this thing. And runs like a champ now. Absolutely love this truck. But getting back to the main story about, how I got this truck and why I got this truck, because like I said, I was looking at several other cars and trucks here, and the main thing that I like about this truck is it's the newest truck I've ever had. Prior to this, the newest truck I've had was that 05 1500 that I just mentioned. Newest truck, newest diesel I've had. I've wanted a Cummins for a long time now. Like when I first started really liking diesels, way back when I first started driving, I was always drawn to the Cummins. But of course, because it's a popular engine, high demand trucks, the prices were just for the longest time just out of my range. And it was kind of the same and honestly, my first diesel was kind of like my project diesel I got all those years ago. It was that 6.9 IDI it was in an 86 Ford F-250. So even though I've wanted Cummins for a long time, I just couldn't ever afford one. So that's what drew me to this one, was the fact that it was a Cummins, and it's the mega cab, and it's a 6-speed manual. Because I know Dodges pretty well. I've had several Dodges now. I think this is probably my 4th Dodge. I'm thinking I've had when it comes to their trucks anyway. I believe this is my 4th truck. 4th Dodge, first diesel. The other 3 were old gassers. So, actually I take that back. I think it's my 5th. But I digress. So I really didn't want to come with the automatic because I knew that with Chrysler and Dodge, they didn't have the best automatics to begin with, never mind when you hook it up to a Cummins. So that's what drew me to this truck, especially with the mileage that it has. It had a good engine in it, decent manual transmission. No 06, unfortunately, they didn't have the new Venture manual transmission. This is like a G56, which I think is like a Chrysler Mercedes type of transmission. I mean, it's okay. I can tell this one's got some miles on it though, because it's a little notchy going into 2nd and into 5th. But I'll still take this over an automatic any day. So that's what honestly just drew me, was the way it was set up. Like, it had the engine I've been wanting, it had the cab space that I need, and And to me, especially compared to all the other trucks I was looking at, even though it had high mileage, it looked like it'd been well taken care of. I'm the third owner of this truck, and it's just the way it drove and the way it looked. I mean, yeah, it's got a few dents and stuff here and there, but it looks like it's been well taken care of, in my opinion. So I went ahead and bought it because, like the other trucks, you know, like the F-250s with the V10s, yeah, they've been taken care of too, but both of those trucks had over 220,000 miles on them, so I was kind of hesitant to bite the bullet on those because they're gassers and they're pretty high up in miles. And those are automatic transmissions as well. So I think just to me, even though I did wind up having to put injectors into this truck and a new ECM, I just think that it would be the most dependable. And honestly, this truck has amazed me. I've had no cold start problems, and really no starting problems to speak of, or drivability for that matter. I think the biggest issue I had was just when the injectors were crapping out. And there was one time it wasn't wanting to start, and basically that was because the mechanic that did the injectors didn't wire in the valve harness right, so it was a little bit of a chaos, but I got it fixed and was happily from there. So to wrap this up, because I know I've been talking for a while now, sorry to bore you guys, but that is why I bought this truck and how it kind of fell into my lap. Of course, I'm Chris for Chris Country. I hope you guys are having a great day, week, night, day, whatever time it is, wherever you're at. Feel free to rate, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.